What's up, guys? What is up? Welcome back to another episode of Deck Talk Podcast. And again, we have another killer episode. And some of the guys probably know who we have that's a guest on here. And we're excited. I've been stoked. I've been able to do quite a few interviews with him with doing media and stuff for Bassmaster and going to the Classic and going to other events and stuff. And it's always been an honor to be able to interview our guest today. But guys, we got some business first we got to take care of. This episode is brought to you by Bruiser Baits, Firefly Marine Outdoors, YOLO Tech, Joe Burns Rods, Cornfield Fishing Gear, Spear Point Hooks, Pro Line Baits. And guys, make sure if you want to be able to go to their websites and enter the discount code DeckTalk10. Get you a little discount on top of that. You will not be disappointed in those products. But guys, if you don't know, I'm Colin Burnett.
I'm Pappy J, and today we're going to kick it off right. Today's hero of the week, we got U.S. Air Force Staff Sergeant David Doc Riley. He was a fuel specialist in Vietnam War. He also flew on Air Force One in 1971. He is a great hero, and we thank him for all that he's done. We just recently lost him due to illness, not too, well, I guess probably just a few months ago. But again, we just want to thank all of our heroes, our men and women that's out here fighting the good fight. Because without them, we couldn't do what we do. So thank you, Doc.
Exactly. That is it. And again, Pappy, I really appreciate you doing that and wanting to do that. But guys, this week, if you do not know, this guy right here has fished professionally for over 21 years and fishes the Bassmaster Elite. He's fished the FLW Tours, also fished the U.S. Open Champions. I think, what has it been? You've won 3 times the U.S. Championship, if I'm correct. He is out of Arizona, expert in fishing with the drop shot, sight fishing, and we're going to talk to him. But guys, this is one of probably the nicest guys that you will meet on the Bassmaster Elite Tournament Series. We have Mr. Clifford Pirch. Clifford, thank you for coming on, brother.
What's up, buddy?
So, yeah, well, thank you guys. Thank you guys. I know the time change is a little different, and
it is, and because you're 4 hours behind us,
but
correct?
I just jumped off Lake Mead. We had practice today for the last day. There's a Western Outdoor News, a one bass tournament out here on Lake Mead starts tomorrow, and so got a couple days to practice and just rolled off the water. Tried to find a place to talk with you that was better, where you could have view of the lake and I could work on tackle, but the wind started blowing like 20, 25 miles an hour, so just kind of hard to hear outside. So just inside the truck, and but glad to be with you guys.
Man, thank you again. Thank you. I mean, we deeply appreciate it. Just like what I said is every time, and I told you that every time that I get a chance to see you and be able to do a little interview with you, it's always been an honor, and you've always taken the time and treated me well, and I've wanted to be able to get you on the podcast, and I think that I've been trying to coordinate. I think you were on Wheeler last year, and when I finally was able to get your contacts and stuff like that, and just with tournaments and everything that you have going on, and with our schedule, we finally was able to get a date set. So we're pretty stoked about having you on, brother.
Yeah, well, thank you. Again, it's, I guess, trying to get everybody's schedule to match up, and the timing to match up's kind of tricky.
Right, I understand.
Oh, yeah.
So, we want to talk to you about, like, what is the main difference with you being out in Arizona? What is the main difference difference from fishing out west to coming out east, and to where primarily where all the elites tournaments and stuff are? What is primarily the biggest difference in that?
Well, Mexican food for one. I usually don't eat Mexican food east of El Paso, and as far as the fishing goes, I don't know. There's just some differences, and I, we have a good variety of fishing out west, but a lot of it is deep, clear reservoirs. We do have the California Delta, the Columbia River, and clear lakes and natural lakes. So we do have some variety. The lower Colorado, Havasu has a good variety, just all in one lake. So we have a lot of varieties, but I guess probably the biggest theme is we have a lot of real clear water.
Yeah.
So there's times when I'm out here on Lake Mead, you could throw a deep diving crankbait out as far as you could throw it and watch it all the way back to the boat. It just gets that clear. This week there was a little bit of
Oh, wow.
monsoon storms and stuff that kind of flooded. I think they got 2 or 3 inches of rain on a couple of these mountain ranges right around us, and so there was some flash flooding. There's a little bit of color in the water this week, so it's not quite as you can't see down like 30 feet, but there are some areas where you can see really deep. It's still pretty clear. So I
And,
guess the biggest difference is a lot of water clarity things.
yeah, and with us, we're in the Chattanooga area, so we're kind of in a prime location, Clifford, because we got like 30 minutes away from us, we've got Chickamauga. 20 minutes away, we've got Nickajack, and about 45 minutes we can be on Gunnersville. And with the TVA lakes, you're not throwing anything out if it goes below a foot, and you're not seeing anything. So, but
Yeah, yeah.
uh,
Yeah, that's bass fishing country there, and I've only won one tournament back east. I've won quite a few out west, but I've won one tournament right there in your backyard on Chickamauga about 10 years ago, and probably a little
yeah,
longer than that now, maybe 13 or 14 years ago. But uh, that is one of my favorites right there. It's definitely my favorite on the Tennessee River is Chickamauga. So every time I've been
yeah.
there, I've just had a good time, caught them good, and I do love fishing Chickamauga. So you live in a great place. Now Gunnersville, on the other hand, that one has had my number, and I don't know what the difference is between the two, but you can have Gunnersville. I'll
Yeah.
take Chickamauga.
I and the thing is, yeah, I understand. Because I have a love hate relationship with Gunnersville myself. So,
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah,
so
yeah.
it.
And I can't get
But it.
any fishing information on that.
Uh,
We got a rule that says we can't. So I don't want to talk, details on Gunnersville. I just kind of making a joke that it's definitely had my number. I think it
yeah.
owes me a little bit. So hopefully next time around I'll get them there.
Well, yeah. I think it's time for some redemption, and so
Yeah. Yeah, I
because I
hear you.
would love to see 2026 to see your name at the top of that Angler of the Year, and to that would be something else to be able to see that, and also where it'd be easy where we can just go on and just seal your name up uh, for the Bassmaster Classic, wherever it's going to be in here, not this year but the following year. I would love to. I always enjoy watching you fish, and so I would definitely love to be able to see that. So do out west, do they? Because well, with the Tennessee River, like it is mainly current driven. So are the bodies of water there? Do you have some bodies of water that is current driven, like that's like the Tennessee River?
Um, not a lot of that. Um, Colorado River, where it comes into Havasu, when you get in the river, it's actually moving real hard. So that's real current related. Uh, Columbia River, obviously lots of current, things like that. It's not the reservoir like, say Chickamauga with the, typical current generation current.
Right,
But
right.
our lakes, our desert lakes do have current when they're moving water. Um, even my home lake Roosevelt has current when they're pulling water, so they use it for electricity and for water, basically water storage for the Phoenix all over Arizona. So they
Right.
do pull water. So you do notice some current situations, but not really the same as Tennessee River would. That's a whole different world, really, as far as current goes.
Yeah. So do they? Because I know, like here on the TVA, like we'll have like a winter pool and a summer pool. Do they fluctuate the waters there like they do out here?
Well, generally, no. Most of most of what we have are reservoirs, and so generally a lot of the reservoirs on the lower half of the chain will hold level, and the upper lake or two on the chain fluctuates with how much rainfall and snowfall,
I got
snow
you.
melt, what kind of winter we have. So we're coming off, we had 2 really good wet years here in the desert Southwest, and our lakes were full, or generally full, our normal lakes. Lake Mead and Lake Powell, I don't know if they'll ever catch up with the amount of, water that goes, to California and all, kind of all over the
Right.
place. I don't know if they'll catch up, but our normal reservoirs like, Roosevelt, stuff around central Arizona, southern California, stuff like that. We got a lot of water for 2 years. And then this past winter, we had just zero. So stuff has been high for a while, and fishing is phenomenal. The lakes are healthy, but we have zero runoff this past winter. So now things are starting to come down quite a bit on a lot of our reservoirs. So hopefully we get another good winter again, because if you can kind of piggyback multiple years on top of that, it just really would help kind of keep things healthy. And honestly, Arizona, the couple lakes around where I live, I've never seen them better for big fish in my lifetime. So this year was just incredible. Saguaro Lake, the bottom on the chain. I know a couple guys caught 40 and 50-pound bags throughout the spring, 5 fish limit. And, the upper end of the chain, my home lake Roosevelt, the state record just came out of there like a month ago. So they caught a 16 and a half. Ironically, it's a guy that bought my boat, a Phoenix, about 3 years ago. So about two or three boats back, the guy that bought my boat caught that 16 pounder. So I wish it would have
Man.
happened when I owned that boat, but that live well held a big one there for him. So. But
And
the
that would have
fishing,
been
in
something to
general, has
see.
been incredible the last couple of years. So we're
Yeah.
really getting to
That
enjoy,
definitely would have been
kind
a
of the
sight to
benefits of
see
that.
coming across the elite stage too, seeing that 16 pounder come through.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh yeah.
yeah. I'd sure take that. That's like getting a spare day, an extra day to fish.
Exactly.
Oh, for sure.
Now,
Yeah, for sure.
how do you, when the elite schedule's going on, how do you manage with going? Do you go back to Arizona during? Because sometimes you'll have a month in between. Do you go back to Arizona, or do you kind of just stay around the eastern part of the United States?
Generally I go home in between events. Even if there's like 1 week, I have to go home just to try to get normal. I just don't like staying on the road extra. I've been doing it
Right.
so long that I feel like I get burned out if I'm just kind of waiting for the event, and if wasting a bunch of time. I feel like I'm more ready for an event if I can go home, get normal, and come back. So if there's a real short gap between tournaments, I'll fly home. Like this year, we had kind of a screwy schedule where they did 3 different groups of events where there was like 1 week in between. And so,
Right.
not much time to do much, but, just sitting on the road just doesn't work. So I flew home for
Yeah.
those. And then the ones with the bigger break, I drove home just to have my gear. I want to be able to use my stuff and, kind of stay, keep my gear in order. And, really it'd be smart to have 2 boats. I just don't, you know, I'm using one boat, and I like to have it ready when I'm going to an event. So I don't like to leave it if it's like over a month or like a month in between. I'll try to drive home
Right.
usually. So I drove several
Yeah.
times this year, flew several times, and kind of back and forth.
Yeah. So, one question I did want to ask you, um, Bash just came out here this past week where they're going to eliminate to where four tournaments that you cannot use forward facing sonar. What is your opinion on that?
Well, I'm excited that they did something. You know what I mean? I've been doing this a long
Right.
time, and so I'm kind of more on the not particularly excited about live. You know, the young guys are that's really their deal, and so obviously there's a lot of back and forth on that. But I'm glad that there was some decisions made where um, it can kind of give a lot more variety. So I really do like
Exactly.
that. I feel like it's that can only help me, and I I mean I enjoy using live and doing I can do it really well, but uh, I can't do it as well as some of the real young guys that is just they are
They grew up with it.
so in tune with growing up with that kind of electronics that
Exactly.
they are at a little bit different level. So trying to adjust to that the last couple of years. I haven't done a very good job the last two seasons. It didn't go real well. Um, Prior to that, I had two great seasons, and so I'm hoping to kind of get back where I'd like to be. Higher in the points and have some good events. But I haven't I haven't done a good job of managing that technology, because I think what we've seen is you either have to be all in on the live and scoping, or you have to be all in on just straight fishing shallow. And most of the time, it's going to get won with the live technology. And so,
Yeah.
you're kind of like, well, if I feel like it's going to get won with the live, then I better do it. But when you've always got that, that line of willow trees kind of drawing you in, or that kind, you just kind of back and forth, not committing to one or the other, the margins are so tight. I mean, it just like you can smash them, and it looks like you basically had your eyes closed all day. I mean, when you
Right.
come in, it's you get your teeth kicked in, and so um, you really have to commit. And the guys that did that well this year, say some of the guys that really like fishing shallow, they committed really well, because we had a couple of tournaments or several tournaments that were won, by just good shallow fishermen
Yeah.
with historical fishing traditional techniques. And then we had quite a few events that were won, with the live, but the young guys, brand new, first, second, third year guys, and you can't really waver between the two, is what I've seen. And because it it just, one takes all day to get what you need, and the other takes all day to get what you need. So I feel
Yeah.
like kind of having one foot on both sides of the fence has cost me. And I just really, I think you've got to make a decision what you're going to do in an event, and not really waver. You know what I mean?
Now,
And I think
have you been able to use live on the East Coast and the West Coast yet?
Yes. Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
what? Okay, so going from clear water on the West Coast to a green or a murky water on the East Coast, what is the advantages and the disadvantages of it, or if there's
Well,
any at all?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know if there's really any advantages or disadvantages, but one thing I do know, uh, I feel like fish bite better out west, and
Mhm.
maybe it's the heavy fishing pressure, or going. We go to a lot of places that, I mean, just get pounded and pounded and pounded, and I think that's what changes or makes things a little more difficult, because if they're constantly getting fished for, especially even when they get offshore or roaming, now guys are always fishing for them wherever they're at. I think they get a lot harder to catch, and so
Mhm.
that is one thing I really enjoy about fishing out west, is when you find fish, you can catch them. They still bite.
Right,
And there's a lot of
right.
yeah.
times out east where I feel like, holy smokes, you're watching them, turn down this bait, turn down that one, or you move it a little faster and he turns off, or move it a little slower, he turns off. There's just a lot of things where you're like, man, I know that's a bass, but they are hard to catch sometimes. So I think that's a big difference. Like where I live, uh, I don't think the fishing pressure is near as bad. So when you find fish, you catch them, and
Yeah.
I enjoy using the live when I want to practice and do that. I catch them and catch most of them, but uh, I think having that same confidence when you're not catching them out east is kind of got in my head a little bit, and I fish with so much more confidence out west. Every time I go to an event, I feel like I'm going there to win out here.
Right.
And
Right.
back east, a lot of times I feel like by the end of practice, sometimes I'm thinking, you know what? I don't know if I've seen what I need to see or if I'm on what I need to be on. And so I feel like it's a little more survival. Like I just need to try to get enough points or, get a check. And so I feel like, that's definitely in my head when I'm fishing out east. The confidence level is probably not as good as when I'm out west. I'm always going to win when I'm out west. And,
Right.
when I'm out east, I feel like I kind of sometimes I'm in survival mode. It's like, well, I need to try to get in, get a top 20, get a top 30, 40, 50. So
Right.
just fish a little bit differently.
Now, are the lakes that are out west, are they more um, like, does the bass more like they feed more on trout out there, or do they have like gizzard shad and like threadfin and stuff out there as well?
Most of our lakes now have gizzard shad and threadfin, and probably about half of our lakes have trout. Trout's not a huge factor anymore like it used to be, but
Right.
where they have them, it is pretty neat. It does help, but there's a lot of places that just don't have trout like they used to 20, 30 years ago, where they stock trout regularly. Um, but we still have some. I would say
Right.
most places are gizzard shad, threadfin, bluegills, crappies. Uh, a lot of crawfish, crawdads everywhere, and that's probably the main forage everywhere.
So when you go, um, let's say you go to a body of water that you haven't been to in a while, how do you prepare yourself for the tournament? What are you going out looking for to get yourself ready for the tournament?
Well, I think historically, you're thinking of seasonal patterns. You're thinking of the type of fishery. What's the environment? Is it a Tennessee River, like a lowland? What do they say? Like a lowland reservoir, or is it
Right.
uh, you know, uh, an Ozark type lake, or is it a natural lake? I guess you're kind of going into it with all those factors, and I do feel like sometimes you don't even really I don't know how to say this, but like if you're just thinking with the live transducer, a lot of that stuff doesn't really matter that much anymore. You just get somewhere where you can find
Yeah.
fish and hunt them with that. So it's definitely changed a lot of uh, the way fishing is done. And
Right.
so I guess when I'm going, like I said, historically, I'm thinking, what generally works this time of year. What are my strengths? How will that tournament generally be won? And or is it gonna play uh, on a minnow or a jerk bait or a Nico drop shot, things like that, where you're looking at them, or is it going to play, heavy cover, shallow, what's going to be the factors that you kind of expect the tournament to be won. So, there's all kinds of things that go into it, I guess. And after traveling for 20 some years, I've been to pretty much everywhere in the country. There's some lakes I haven't been to, but generally regions fish pretty similar to each other. Um, Lakes in New York typically fish like New York stuff or northern stuff, and stuff in that Tennessee where you're at, or Alabama, Tennessee, that Florida
Right.
down there, they fish pretty similar too. Or, you've got spotted bass fisheries. They act a little different. So I think generally you've got a pretty good idea. Everywhere we go now, what to expect. So I don't know if that
So,
covered it or if we went around 3 times.
so I've got an interesting question I've been sitting on. What is the craziest thing that you have seen out on the water in a tournament?
Well, I've got a few of them, and but one's too long of a story to tell, uh, and I wouldn't do it justice if I didn't give you all the details. But I had a guy try to attack me and came into the water, and basically, a long story short, and like I said, I'm not doing it any justice because it's
Right,
like a
right.
horror movie.
Yeah.
The guy ended up drowning, and I tried to save him. I drug him up on the back of the boat, and yeah, I mean, it was just an absolute bizarre horror movie, crazy story. So that's the craziest thing I've ever had happen. I think there's a story on Bassmaster, oh, maybe 2 years ago or a year or two ago at the Classic that they kind of talked about quite a bit of it, but I couldn't even get all the details on there. But that was you know, I'll never forget kind of situation. Crazy, crazy, crazy. So, but I've seen some other crazy things, I suppose. I saw I saw a coyote chasing a deer in the water, both of them swimming. I've seen bears swim after the follow the boat uh, before. I had this one bear. He thought I was throwing food to him every time I cast, and he would run down the bank and try to get the bait, or get close. And so I guess I've seen a lot of different crazy things, but
Right.
definitely the the deal that happened a couple years ago. That's the craziest horror movie story ever.
That's
Yeah.
interesting
Well.
you say about the deer because one time me and a buddy of mine, we were on Lake Chickamauga right around Sequoia. We was kind of going up through there, and we noticed a bunch. Well, not a bunch, just a few boats, kind of in a circle, like a OK Corral kind of deal. And so we kind of got up beside them, and what we seen was two bucks swimming upriver, and these boats, they were around the bucks and just trying to keep other boats from hitting them or whatever. And I thought, you know, out of everything that I could have possibly seen, that is probably the wildest thing that I have ever seen. A couple
Yeah,
bucks, and I mean good sized bucks. Which brings me to
yeah.
this. Um, so you're an avid hunter, we hear, and tell us a little bit about that. How do you transition from your tournament series, just go to what to your hunting?
Well, and that's part of the reason why I've never really moved back east is because I really enjoyed the outdoors where I live in Arizona. We've just got too much. It's just a really, really rich wildlife area. So
Right.
I've always enjoyed elk hunting, or even my favorite thing is just looking for elk sheds, shed antlers,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
I think that's even better than hunting. But we do try to fill the freezer with an elk every year, and it's just good. It's just good organic, healthy meat, and
You got
so
that right.
we eat a lot of elk
Yeah.
meat and enjoy the hunting, but that's a big reason why I've never moved out east. I love coming home, seeing the elk, hearing them. They just started bugling here, in the last few days. The rut's going to go on for another month and a half, 2 months, and man, it's a fun thing. So I've got a couple of clients. I do a little bit of guiding in the off season. I've got a couple late archery guys, and normally I've got multiple hunts like the rut hunt coming up here in a week or two, and some late archery guys, and then some late rifle guys. This year I just hardly anybody got drawn this year, so I've got a couple late
Yeah.
archery guys, and that's about it right now. It'll probably end up being a late rifle guy too, but it's It is. We do live in some really neat country, world class elk, and lots and lots of wildlife. We've got mule deer, Coues whitetail, bears, lions, desert bighorn sheep out here, Rocky Mountain bighorn sheep closer to where I live,
Oh,
and
wow.
boy, everything. Antelope. My neighbor got a big antelope buck this week, and I got a couple buddies that are hunting this week, and lots of stuff. Javelina, turkeys, lots of small game. It's a wildlife rich area. So I just love the outdoors and always have done quite a bit of
Yeah.
hunting. I don't do as much hunting anymore. I enjoy just watching a lot of animals and of course we always do some elk hunting every year.
Now, do
So have
you?
you ever gone hunting with Polinick?
What's that?
Have you ever gone hunting with Polinick?
No, no, I know him and Carl are probably hunting right now or up in Idaho or Montana. They sometimes get a Montana tag, and I know that they do enjoy elk hunting up there too. But no, I've never really wanted to leave Arizona,
Right.
there's lots of great places to put in for. You put in for Wyoming, Colorado, New Mexico, Idaho, Montana, but I just don't put in for the other states.
Now,
Right.
when you say you guide, is it only elk or do you just whatever species?
I mostly just guide elk. Now, every now and then I'll guide a deer hunt or something, but I used to do quite a bit more different hunts, but I really just mainly do elk and occasionally a deer hunt.
So I got to know what's the biggest elk on a guide trip that you've ever put down?
Uh, well, we've got a couple of great big ones and a lot of nice ones, but I
Yeah,
think the biggest one's about 393 or 389 or something like that, and had a couple of 375s, 365, a lot more, 350, 330. But um, anytime you have a rut tag, like right now, this tag over the next month, those are when you really get the giants. It's hard;
right.
they're really hard to draw anymore, and you know, it's it's uh, it's really fun to go during the rut, but it's a real hard tag to draw, and that's when you generally get able to get them super giants.
Yeah.
So
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 when
if if a guy wanted to come and book a hunt with you, what would he need to do?
Well, Arizona is a draw only state. So, like New
Okay,
Mexico has some landowner tags and some other states do, but Arizona, you have to put in like a draw, like a lottery. And
right.
that happens like they usually open it up in January and close it. You got to have it in by about the first week of February
Okay,
and for the following fall. So that's the trick is applying. You got to buy a hunting license now and apply. They do the drawing and then you find out a couple of weeks later. So uh,
and then
that's basically how it works. And like I said, I had quite a few guys put in this year, and only two guys got drawn. So it's
oh
gotten.
wow,
It used to be I would put them in for like a little less popular hunt and almost always get them drawn
right,
because a lot of people just want to get a nice elk, and you can still get a giant, but
right,
and it's relative. What's not a uh, we have a lot of bulls that are just really good bulls that in other states it would be a giant. So
yeah.
I got to kind of
right,
clarify that even a bad tag you can get some really nice bulls. So I usually try to get guys to put in for the little higher opportunity to get drawn, a little less quality or after the rut or something. But a non-resident has a pretty hard time drawing a rut tag anymore. So you really have to kind of have been putting in for quite a while. You can still you still have a chance, but the odds are like in the single digits in most units.
Now, do you like if you don't get drawn? Is it a point system or do they do
Yes.
point systems out there?
Yeah, you get a bonus point every year. You don't get
Right,
drawn, and then like if you put in 5 years in a row, you get a what do they call it? A loyalty point. You can get another
right.
point that's always with you. in every draw by taking the hunter safety course in Arizona. So you can automatically, after 5 years, you carry that loyalty point and the hunter safety point. So there's a couple extras, that
Yeah.
can help you. But it is a point system. It just the points are gaining
Yeah.
every year,
Yeah.
in a lot of units
Yeah.
they
Right.
gain. Ever since we have all these hunting apps and a lot of podcasts and stuff like that, the whole world has been able to start putting in. It's just got a little harder the last few years.
Oh, I
Yeah.
agree. Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
if somebody wants to contact you about a hunt, is the best way to contact you? Is that through the uh, was it the Clifford Pirch Outdoors website? Is that the best way to get a hold of you?
Yeah, that would be a good way. Social media, Clifford Perch Outdoors there too, or the Perch Outdoors on the website. Any of those places, you can get a hold of me. And I do a lot
Yeah.
of fishing guiding. If someone wants to go fishing, Arizona's a great place for the winter time to get away from the cold country, and we've got good fishing year round, but the weather generally, we've got really good weather when a lot of the country doesn't. So
Yeah.
Right.
the next few months will be pretty good time in Arizona to be guiding some fishing. So I'll be working on that as well. So,
Yeah.
but yeah,
So
any of my social media or my website.
So what we're going to do, guys, is I'm going to put in the description of this all Clifford's social media and his website to where you can just one click and just be able to go and do and make sure you go to them and like and follow and so. But if you're interested in either fishing or hunting and wanting to take a guide trip out, just make sure you go check them out. I think what is it like? I'm not a big hunter, Clifford, but I can only imagine like being outdoors and then one seeing like one of them little, or not a little, I mean, but seeing a mountain lion or something like that. I mean, to where it's just you and some space and a mountain lion. Is it kind of intimidating to see? I mean, because that's just a that's just like being down in Florida and having them 9, 10, 12 foot gators coming up to the side of the gunnel of the boat, and you're like,
Yeah,
these things can
yeah,
just one swift move can just have me gone. So is it intimidating to
yeah.
see them?
Well, I've had some pretty scary situations. Now we're pretty used to it because we just go out and that's just part of it. But I do have about a half dozen really good bear stories and really good lion stories. Probably a half dozen lion stories too, where I've got some pretty exciting deals where I had a lion try to stalk me a couple times, and
Oh,
so
wow.
on the next maybe the next podcast we'll talk about some of those exciting deals, but. Um, yeah, it's just part of hunting out west, and we don't have grizzlies, luckily, but we do have a lot of bears, black bears and a lot of mountain lions. We've even got some wolves, mostly in the eastern half of the state, but really the lions and the bears are pretty common out here. So it's
Yeah,
it's something we don't really think about much going out, but if you're not from around here or used to it, I guess it is kind of intimidating. But it's just like people really don't think much about gators when they're, kind of pulling up in their backyard and they live on
right,
the Harris chain or somewhere in Okeechobee or something.
right.
We're like,
Yeah,
holy smokes, got to flash a light out in your back porch before you go walking out there at night. But it's just probably something you get used to.
yeah.
Well,
Now
I tell
what?
you, Clifford. Last year, I was hunting at a spot, and I had set up my cameras and stuff, and this first time it's ever happened. I've caught bobcats, I've caught coyotes and stuff like that, but I actually caught a mountain lion. And I
Oh
knew that they
wow,
was out there, but to see one on the camera and think, man, that's right there next to my tree. I
yeah,
don't know
yeah,
if I want to go tracking in there at 3 o'clock in the morning and hear that thing. It was a
yeah,
little unnerving.
Yeah.
yeah, oh yeah. Yeah, they see you a whole lot more than you see them.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Now, uh, I do want to ask you because um, you take your daughters out and get them out in the outdoors, and they'll do some hunting and stuff with you. Um, what is a tip that you can give, like dads or parents and stuff like that, to be able to get kids out into the outdoors where they're not on a PlayStation or Xbox or playing on their phones nowadays? What is a tip that you can give to be able to get their kids out into the outdoors?
Well, I think you take them on fun hunts, on hunts that are easier than harder, and maybe more action. You know, I know when I was 10 years old, I got a whole lot more excited about dove season and duck season than I did about deer hunting. You know what I mean? So I
Right.
think going, you know, when there's some exciting stuff, uh, you know, or an easier, maybe easier elk hunt. You know, my daughters have shot quite a few cow elk, and I have two stepsons that have shot quite a few cow elk. My oldest stepson made an incredible shot this year. you
Oh
know,
Oh,
wow.
heck
uh,
yeah.
uh, elk was running by us, and I was like, "Oh man, don't shoot!" And he just turned and shot and dropped it. You know, I was like, "Oh boy, that was a hard shot." And you know, my daughter, my youngest daughter, she's gotten 4 elk with 4 bullets. So that, you know, those young kids, they can be really good. I've got bullets and mainly arrows all over the side of the mountain out there where I've missed plenty of times. But I think going on those fun hunts where they're going to get something, you know, there's going to be good action, and just, you know, making them uh, be a part of it. You know, where they
Yeah.
get to be a part of, you know, all aspects of it. You know, we get the elk, we do the scouting, and you know, we have a pack out. Generally, it's hard, and you know, even process the elk. So it's, you know, it's kind of a fun thing, and I think that's pretty fun for a lot of the kids, and just being a part of something where they're going to have some success, not dragging them around for 10 days in the rain or the ice or the, you know, miserable.
Right.
So just
Yeah.
making sure it's going to be a fun hunt.
Yeah. Well, Clifford, we got a couple more questions, and then because we know that you got to tie up and get stuff ready for the tournament, um, and that you have here.
Oh, he froze up.
Oh, did you hear me?
But Pappy,
Did
you
I
got a
lose you?
couple more questions as well. No, we're good.
Uh,
Can you hear us?
I
yeah.
can
Go
hear you. I
ahead.
don't know what happened. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yes,
we
we
got
got.
you.
Okay, yeah,
Go
So
I
we're
ahead,
was
just going to
Carl.
ask a
I was
few
trying
more
to.
questions, and then we're going to get off here to where you can get the tying up, brother.
Okay,
Go ahead, caller.
can you hear me?
Pappy, yeah, we got you. So what has been and over like the 20 plus years that you've been fishing professionally, is there one thing that was told to you or that you learned that was the biggest like game changer in how you approach fishing?
Oh boy, that's kind of a hard one. I don't know. I can't think of like just one thing, or, you know, obviously getting different bits of advice throughout my career by, you know, some mentors and other fishermen and buddies that I stayed with. You know, I guess gathering information, you know, comes in all kinds of ways. And now, uh, gosh, everything, everywhere we ever go is on live. You know, these young guys, they've watched us fish everywhere now that we go. Everybody doing everything, and the learning curve is so much faster. There's so much more information. When I started, you know, you had Bassmaster magazine and maybe Bass West magazine, and you know, you'd hope that the guys were being totally truthful, and a lot of things really didn't match, you know, the type of fishery we were on. So you just kind of had to read everything you could and spend a lot of time getting experience, kind of trial and error, and um, you know, so it's totally different now. You can really learn a lot faster, and there's tons more information out there. So there's not anything out there that you can't pull up on YouTube and watch. And
Yeah.
yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, it's
that's
just
true.
you can learn anything there is now. You just type
Yeah,
it in and watch it.
sounds good. Well, Pappy, you want to ask the last question, and then we'll let Clifford go and let him get the tie and some tackle.
Absolutely, Clifford. First of all, it's a pleasure to talk to you, and I hope you do well. But if you had one person that you could fish with, or we'll even take it up a notch, or hunt with, um, here or passed away, uh, who would it be and why?
Um, I would want it to be Jesus because he took a bunch of fishermen that blanked and had zero fish and told them, hey guys, you need to throw over there. So anytime
Yeah,
he was around, they caught fish when they needed to. So I would take him because he he uh, he not only made and designed the fish, he knows everything about them that we ever could even dream of knowing. So not to mention just telling us where to cast. So I'd be like,
Yeah,
hey, why don't you jump in my boat and
ex-
we'll go fish a
exactly.
tournament somewhere. That's that's who I'd want.
Heck yeah.
I bet he'd be a heck of a hunter too.
Oh
Oh
yeah.
yeah, oh yeah, oh
Uh,
yeah.
and my thing about it is he'd probably be telling me like, "Hey, stupid, fish on this side of the boat." That's what he'd be telling
Yep.
me the whole time.
Well, that's what he did. That's what he did. He hung out with fishermen, so that tells you a lot right there. He didn't hang out with
Yep.
golfers or he hung out with fishermen and
Yeah,
he told them how to fish a few times. So it was
he did.
he's right. He's our kind of people.
Yep.
That is definitely true. And well, well, Clifford, thank you again so much. And I'm glad that we finally were able to kind of get our schedules locked in together to where we can have you on. Um, we gotta, we're gonna have to get you to come back on again, and because I would love to hear some of them bear stories and the mountain lion stories, and so we wanted ask that one question about the craziest thing that's ever happened on the water because we've asked that to probably 8 or 9 people. We've been doing this podcast for over 3 years, and we've asked that to 8 or 9 anglers or something like that. And I guarantee you, Clifford, that 5 or 6 of them has said, I'll tell you the craziest thing that I've ever heard. I was fishing in a tournament. It did not happen to me. It happened to Clifford, and they told us that story. And
Yeah,
so you that story, that was the reason why we asked. We was hoping that that would be the story that you would say, and so that's the reason why, because it didn't make an impact just on you. It made an impact on all the other anglers that actually was fishing with you in that tournament. And so but again, we thank you so much for coming on. We hope that 2026 is going to be a stellar year for you, and we again, we want to see you at the top of that Angler of the Year race, and we want to see you get back into the Classic. And again, we thoroughly enjoy watching you fish. And again, we cannot thank you enough for coming on, brother. And we hope the best for you during this off season. Go put some meat in the freezer. I think he's gone. But guys, thank you again for coming on. And with that being said, next week we have Hank with Bass Geek coming on. It is going to be another fun episode. Talking about, we're going to be doing a lot of bait talking, and so don't don't miss it. It's going to be a blast. And next week, we actually got a box, guys, right here. I got a box sent to me from Steve Dial with Bruiser Baits, and we're going to be doing some a giveaway next week. We're going to have Pappy draw some of these baits out, and we're going to be giving them out. So do not miss that. I hope you have a blessed day. Thank you for tuning in, and we will see you next week, guys.
See you.